Indiana Sports Network cups given to guests on Timeout with a Coach are provided by Fearless Design.
Grace Clinic Health Professional. Affordable, compassionate, comprehensive health care for the whole family. In Terre Haute and Greencastle.
Today, Chris Ames is here from Clay City, and I'm telling you, we're going to get to be able to go back and talk about a lot of different things, and I'm going to open it up with this one because I read this.
Here we go.
And it made me laugh. So, I've been married 38 years. Okay.
Congratulations.
And yeah, I mean, that's especially if you're a coach's wife, you have to understand that means my wife's a really special person.
She has to be married to you to 38 years.
But she doesn't keep stats, man. She does. How do you get your wife, first of all, to be so involved that she keeps stats for you? Is that right? She does?
Oh, she does. We're kind of like, I know this will be brought up several times, but it's kind of old school. Not only does she keep stats during the game for us, because we go back and we look at things at halftime. It's not digital. My assistant coach, Coach Overhalser, she keeps a possession chart of everything we do defensively, what they did against the offensive boards. We look at it right there. My wife keeps stats through the game. My dad, he keeps a shot chart for me on the other team, so we can look at halftime where everything's coming from. So it's really a family affair. And honestly, I'm probably about like most guys. I married up.
We all did at one time.
She's a CPA by trade,
right?
And so,
so she knows,
she knows numbers, she knows statistics, and honestly, she probably knows a little bit more about stat taking than I do. She's real good at. She's just real perceptive, and we spend a lot of time in the gym, even on Sundays, breaking down tape of everything else. Believe it or not, on our scout stuff, we have a binder we give the kids on every scout that we have. And,
that's perfect.
She does the shot charts on my. So on Sundays, a lot of times, or during the week, we're in the gym late at night, and she keeps shot chart for me while I take notes, and we combine our stuff together, and she sits there and types it up while I read it, and we look at it, and we adjust. We've been doing that for almost 20 years now.
That's perfect, man.
I'm telling you, honey, right now, you're not going to have to do football statistics for me this next year. I'm not going to force you into that one, but Chris, that's awesome.
That is awesome, man. It's rare.
It is very rare. And as I was reading through this, I'm like, okay, that's got to be my first question, is something about that. But tell us about your family. And I know it's a family affair, but give us kind of the rundown of your family and kind of what's going on and how, because without the backing of your family, and I know you're going to say this, without the backing of your family, you wouldn't be where you are right now with the success that you've had.
Oh, for sure. I grew up here. I was a Van Buren Elementary student. We loved the atmosphere of the small school, and there was nothing up here. And so, in that sense, when they consolidated, we decided to go to Clay City. And still a lot of friends up here. I played a lot of baseball and things up here, and know a lot of people still at Northview, and good people. But the good Lord put us in Clay City, and my parents, we moved down there, and I've got 3 older brothers, and so it's always competitive, growing up and into sports and things, and that's always helped. I have twin brothers who are just not quite 2 years older than me, so we were always slugging it out, doing something, and growing up. And Dad would put up the basketball goal, and we played all the time, and because that was the only thing to do back in those days. There wasn't a lot of other things to do. They're on North Murphy Avenue, and they're on 59, and so they've been a big support. Growing up at Van Buren, I was just telling you guys, the Chamberlain boys were my cousins, and we'd always go back when Van Buren had some really good teams in the late 70s, early 80s. So that was always big in my mind, and so my parents, they took us wherever we needed to go, and they were always supportive. If you wanted to play, you played it as well as you could, and so my parents. Now
explain to me how the Chamberlain boys are your cousins.
My dad and their mother, who just recently passed away, Charlotte Chamberlain, are brothers and sisters.
Okay,
so,
all right.
We grew up kind of idolizing them, even though they tormented me.
I can't imagine the Chamberlain boys tormenting anybody.
Yeah, you could ask Jeff some of those stories.
I will.
He'll tell you something. They're probably true. But so we grew up in Clay City. I went down there in junior high. Was there in 7th grade, you know, it's been a love affair since. My parents still live down there. They come to the games most nights. My dad's there. It takes a rare occurrence for him not to be there, you know, something unfortunate maybe. But I met my wife. She's a Clay City graduate too, and so she was a Coal City beauty, and I married her, and we live in Clay City and have for the last, I think, 25 years now. In the
Perfect.
Same place. We have a daughter who she lives out east. That's another thing about coaching. She is a graduate of Purdue, and she is a graduate of IU. She has a degree from Purdue, and she has a law degree from IU. But she
Nice.
works at a college out east called UMBC. If you're not familiar with that, University of Maryland, Baltimore County. They were the first 16 seed that beat a 1 seed when they beat Virginia. And she is a compliance
Okay.
officer there and an associate athletic director. So
Nice.
she's big in the athletics out there. I think some of that was through maybe her mother and I, and what she
Sure.
was around. You know, she was a manager when she was in elementary. She was always with practices with us. She was a big avid reader, and so she's met her husband at Purdue. Actually, she was. I told her one day, I said, "You need to go over to the athletic department, see if you can be a tutor." And there on the spot, they hired Todd Foster was his name, a former Purdue guy, and he was in charge of that.
Yeah.
He hired her and her future husband. He was the tutor on the mathematical side. My daughter's an English person, so they met and they were married out there, and he works for the government. So, and they actually flew in this past Saturday to watch
the game?
Watch the game.
That's awesome.
So it's pretty special.
Yeah, that's
So
great.
it's just been, you know, and when you say family, there's a lot of people around Clay City we consider as, you know, your family is, it's very important to us. So the community's been tremendous to us, not only this year, but, you know, growing up down there, and, you know, for my wife and I, my daughter, and it's just been a terrific place to be.
Well, Coach, you had a fantastic year. I want to be not the first to congratulate you, but you know you ran through your schedule pretty well. I know you hit poor old Northview early in the year. I said that it might be a different story late in the year. I don't know for sure. They both your teams were playing. Both teams, Northview and Clay City, were playing really well.
At that time, he had some injuries to his guards.
Yeah,
he wasn't able to play. The guards were not able to play in most of that ball game, and that makes a big difference on them. And you're right. I think they just improved throughout the rest of the year. Yeah. And as your team improved, your expectations went right along with it. I mean, I think you just got better as the season went on.
Well, you know, we were without some kids that night. I don't know if it would have made a difference or not. You know, Coach Neville and I've known him since he was at South Vermilion. We still text each other.
Sure.
He's a big supporter of us. As a matter of fact, they had some players down at Seymour the other day.
Yeah.
And you know, that just
doesn't surprise me. Yeah.
It doesn't surprise me because, you know, and you know, like I said, Northview's, you know, get along with those people really well. And you know, I've known Coach Neville, and he runs such a good program. He's a good family man, does things the right way. I'm not surprised the success he's had there. You know, and you know, talking to those guys, even some of the Northview people came up at night, and, you know, they thought we could make a run. They were very, very complimentary of us. And, you know, sometimes, you know, those losses can kind of propel you going forward. And not that you want to lose by learning lessons from, but that night we had a lot of fight in us that night, and we left there feeling pretty good. Like, you know, we get everybody back and healthy. We'll see, you know, what we can do this season. And, you know, a lot of that was prepared from last year. You know, the disappointment losing in the regional and you know, kind of learning a little bit there too. But, you know, I don't know how many people came up to me around the state, you know, when I would call into Bob Level's show, or, you know, even when I went to some meetings, they're like, "You're from Clay City," and then they got talking about Clay County basketball this year and how wonderful it was and how fantastic it was. You know, Northview had a fantastic season, and, you know, they lost to Addicts, who's still playing, I believe. So,
yeah,
I mean,
they are.
There's
State
no shame
championship.
in that. And so there's a lot of good things happening in Clay County this year when it came to basketball.
A lot of talented players in this county right now.
Absolutely. You know, Northview's girls team had a fantastic season as well.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah, Coach Keys, he was on one of our first our guests, and he had a great year. Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know where all that talent was when I was coaching. I'm just kidding. I got guys listening to this. I can just hear Chris DR going, "That son of a gun." Yeah. No, we've always had good talent. You know, I will tell you this real quick off the bat. Did you know? You probably don't know this, but the first time that Northview played Clay City was my very first game at Northview. I came from Louisiana, and I got hired up here as the coach at Northview, and Clay City and Northview had never played before, and I was told it was because of Kenny Rowan that they didn't really want to play. Kenny was a heck of a player, you know. So I get up here and they go, your first game is going to be against Clay City, the very first game at Clay City. So I roll down there, very first game, and it's right out of Hoosiers, man. I mean, the entire place was full, and around the top was 3 deep, and and I'm walking out, and my assistant or whatever, I was like, just like Gene Hackman, I was like, welcome to Indiana basketball. We walked out, and it was just massive.
It was. Believe it or not.
You were there.
I was there. I was playing.
Yes, you were playing. You remember that game?
Listen, I'll give you some trivia on that.
Okay.
I can tell you, you guys got the tip and missed. And I came down. I made a little cut right through the lane, got right where I needed, shot it, and scored the first basket of that rivalry.
That rivalry, yeah.
But the problem was I can't remember who it was. I came down on their foot, and I sprained my ankle.
And you were out?
And I was out until, we taped it up at halftime.
Yeah.
Came back out there. I hobbled out there, and Coach Church let me in the game. You know how Coach Church was.
Oh, yeah.
And I remember trying to shoot one other time, and I think Ernie Mash sent it about 6 rows up because I couldn't get off the floor. Ernie was good anyway. But,
yeah, he's a good player.
And I checked out and never got back in, so I was out the rest of the
game. And that was a good game.
It was.
I mean, that was the first game of my coaching career at Northview, and my kids weren't really buying in yet to what we were supposed to do, and it was a tough situation. I think we ended up winning by 8 or 10 or something like that. But it was
remember
pretty
being
close.
Packed like that.
Yeah.
You said it was standing room only in the Hill Dome. So I do remember that.
Yeah, you were okay.
Crazy.
All right, I just want to throw that in there.
Yeah.
You guys have too much going on here. That's kind of how it works. But you look at this season and all the things that happened through all the things that. And you've had kids, both girls and boys, all the way back through. What kind of things do you think your kids get out of your coaching? What are the things you really want them to get out of basketball at Clay City? And you've seen it happen. You know what I mean? It's not like it's something you can't see, but you have a goal, and that goal isn't necessarily to win basketball games, is it?
Like any coach, you want to win.
Yeah.
We want to win at the best level that you can, and that's not always the case wherever you're at. Sometimes you may not have the most talent, and that doesn't always prelude into having a great season. We definitely had a great season this year, but we try to teach life lessons like Coach Crooks and yourself, Coach King. You guys teach life lessons, and that's really what you're wanting. You want to win games, and parents need to sometimes understand too. We have more satisfaction of knowing what your kids are going to do and our players are going to do outside of high school when they get to college or in the military, whatever job they have, and that they're going to raise a productive family and they're going to have productive lives and a happy life. I think that's really the one thing that coaches, that I played for, and that's what they get out of ours. I know you can't make people happy all the time, but that's okay. But at the end of the day, you want them to be productive and have good memories. Not maybe, always games either, because there's so many practices and things that go into it that people don't see behind the scenes. And some of your kids who don't even play a lot of minutes are the kids that you remember the most because they have the most fun. They keep it loose and they enjoy being part of something. So really, and it's just not me, it's your coaching staff have so much to do with it as well. And your families do because they get involved, your wives do, and your children, if they're young enough, they're around enough. And so you want it to be just as good as experience that you can imagine. Not that it always is, but I feel like our kids get along very well, and they appreciate things that we've done for them. And you want them also to show them that what hard work can do. Even if you're not winning, but you still put the same amount of time in. You're still scouting. You're still working on game plans.
Absolutely.
You're giving them scouting reports just to show them this is how you are prepared in life.
Yeah.
And
carry over.
Yeah.
I could care less about winning if every player walks out of there and ends up 20 years, 25 years down the road and having a great life and their kids are healthy, and that would mean the world to anybody.
Yep, and come back and say hello to you too.
For sure. I had a lot of kids reach out to me, former players reach out to me this year, and congratulating us on a good season. I had several show up the other day at Seymour. I had a young lady who didn't play her senior year, but she was a big part of our program, and she texted me and said she was coming. And just one of my favorite kids because she was always really happy about life, and she's doing really well. But I've had several kids like that just reach out, and the love that they've shown me is, you can't pay that back.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know. Are we ready for a break or not? Because I got a question for him. I'm going to address the elephant.
You're good.
I'm going to address the elephant in the room.
You go ahead.
Are we all right?
Ask the question.
I'm going to address the elephant in the room because I had to work here on Saturday, but I spent my $20 and purchased all the games from the IHSAA, and we showed the games in here. And then your late game, I couldn't get on, and so I watched it on my little telephone this big. And of course, you may say differently because it's one play does not make a play, but Coach, I think you got screwed.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say it like that. I'm sorry.
I'd be honest with you. I haven't watched the tape.
Yeah. I've watched it. I've watched it pretty close.
It's too early.
Yeah, I know.
And it's been, I'll be honest, it's not.
You know what I'm talking about, don't you?
I do.
Yeah. I can set the stage for you.
Well, but
I will say this. Go ahead.
No, and we've all had those.
Yeah.
And the first question I asked off the air when you came in is, you getting any sleep? Because that's the issue. When I had one of those things happen to me, I was in a semi-state and had one of the same kind of thing. We dropped 3 balls, and one went off the fingertip in the last minute and a half of a game, and no one's on the kid. We ran 4 straight times. I mean, I'm not stupid. The guys are wide open.
Right.
They run it every time. And then I went home, and long bus ride, like 3-hour bus ride. And then you get home and you're like, I couldn't sleep. I mean, I literally could not sleep for like 3 days.
Yeah.
Because I get those, because you put as much as you can in. After a certain point, you move on. But he's right. I never watched the film. Well, and when I say that, I'm not going to watch the film and rehash things that are out of my control at that point. And that's the worst part, because when we broadcast, we're like, is that a foul? And my partner will say, is that a foul? And I'm going to say, well, that's what he called, and that's what we have to live with.
Yeah.
And that's the hardest part of sport.
I hated that you had to live with that though, because that was a tough call and a tough play after you all took the lead, and then they got the ball back and you fouled and they hit the 2 shots right to tie it, and then you had how many seconds? About 8.5 seconds, and you were running, and they had a foul to give.
Yeah.
And they have a foul to give, and they gave the foul.
I know.
I hate to do this to you, man.
I know, but and Coach King's right. And in a situation, I'll just explain it. They did tie it. There's some other things in there. We were going to get a timeout on the and one, didn't get it because we didn't hit the foul shot.
Hit the foul shot, sure.
We missed it.
Yep.
It was already
great play, by the way.
And so we didn't get it, and they went down and scored, and And my philosophy is, we had only turned the ball over twice. The whole game. They, in the morning game, it was really helter skelter, and that we hadn't turned it over. We had looked good, very comfortable with the ball, and our plan is always to get it to. We've got so many sets that we'd like to run in that, in the half court, and then at, if we call a timeout, there a couple of years ago we got a little, lob action against Northview,
right,
and so, but we lost the ball. However it happens, it happens. I will say this, like Coach King's right. It's just like it's out of my control now. It was a long bus ride home. No, I don't sleep. It's been devastating, honestly. It's hard because you have that many people show up and you love them, and you're right there. You're on the cusp of doing something very special.
Exactly.
And it didn't happen. But as our motto's been for the last 3 years on our shirts and on our binders, it says life, L-I-F-E. I preach in my classroom every day. Sometimes life is not what we'd like, and you've got to learn and accept those outcomes. And I know it's sometimes cliche when you say things like that, but I really believe that. I mean, we had a car accident with a couple kids there a couple years ago, and they were able to recover from it.
Yeah.
On our shirts, it's got Keaton Jackson, who's a student down there who's been fighting. His fight for several years, and he's an inspiration as well. And so those are things you try to teach kids. You go back to your original question about how do you want to get kids out of your program. Life isn't always fair, but at the end, you feel like the good Lord's going to take care of you later on in life and reward you somewhere down the line. So, I feel like we didn't get a break there, but I feel like our kids, down the line, they're going to get something much greater than maybe that win on Saturday.
There's no
That's
question.
what I pray for.
No question. But I would have liked to seen that go the other way, because I was pulling for you hard, and I saw the deflection, and then it deflected, and the guy that got it stolen from him or knocked away, he's the one that fouled, wasn't he? Because kind of just ran into
right
it.
there.
Yeah, just boom, boom,
Right.
just like that.
Couldn't get out of the way.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Those
to do
kinds
about
of
it.
things happen. And,
Yeah.
and when you look at sport, how do you come back from those? Well, you do.
You do.
You
do.
just come back.
And
and you
kids
come
will do
back
it. They're resilient. They'll do it.
And you come back harder, and you try to do the best you possibly can. And that's the thing that you're going to have to deal with in the summer. Those kids are coming back. Well, is it worth it? Yes, it is. It's all worth it. You're regional champs. You had a chance to make it. You were
First game of the semi-state.
10 seconds basically off of your chance to get in there, and how you recover from that shows the discipline of character that you try to instill with everybody. And with that, we have a character waiting for us, as Tony's saying, hey, it's commercial time, and we'll take one here on Indiana Sports Network.
Grace Clinic Health Professional. Affordable, compassionate, comprehensive healthcare for the whole family. In Terre Haute and Greencastle.
We're the Browns, and this is our account. Our relationship with Riddell really began when we were kids, so when we started our business, it seemed like a natural fit for us.
Riddell's provided all of our financial needs for both personal and business, and we could not be happier with the level of service that we're provided.
Riddell National Bank has helped us grow our business so that we can help grow our communities with the core values that we both share. If you're looking to grow your business, Riddell is your best option.
And welcome back. Chris Ames is our guest again here on Timeout with Coach Jon Crooks. I'm Herb King, and again, we're happy you've joined us. We're able to talk a little bit about Clay City. Coach Ames, we've talked a lot about you and a lot about the things going on. Give us an idea, program-wise, of what you're looking at here, not only this past year, but what kind of things can we see coming through Clay City in the next few years?
I will tell you probably one thing you won't see is the height that we had this year. The team we had this year, I mean, we were blessed. I mean, I've been around Clay City a long time, and, we were able to, at some times, go 6'2" to 6'5" out there in 5 spots. And not only that they were 6'2" to 6'5", they had a lot of length and some athleticism with it.
Absolutely.
And, so we're not going to be as big as we are. And, I think, like any good coach, like you guys, you've got to adjust to what you have. And so next year's coming through, I think we have a lot of good shooters. So it's going to be a little bit more of a, you're going to have to spread the floor a little bit more because you're not going to be able to, we were able to get rebounds this year. We were able to rebound with anybody. And so next year that's going to be difficult, but I think you just spread it out a little bit more. And we still have a couple good guards coming back that played a lot of minutes for us in Dalton Hill and Dalen Keller. And so there's some guys in the JV that can really shoot the basketball. So I think that's something that we'll have to look at.
Now you had 10 seniors, is that right?
10 seniors.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
The one thing, and we haven't brought it up, was those 10 seniors. I teach at the elementary. I teach 6th grade. All those students back there, if you ever see this, there's my shout out to you guys. You guys are great. I love you. But I had them all in 6th grade. They've all been at Clay City since 6th grade. We had a couple kids move in because we normally do from, because they don't want to maybe go to a bigger school. So we had 2 kids move in. But the rest of them have been down there pretty much from 3rd grade to kindergarten. So they've grown up together, and so that's helped a lot.
Sure.
They play multiple sports together. They're very competitive kids. They like to play pickleball, baseball, golf. Just anything in general, they get along very well. So that was a unique, having 10 seniors. I can't think in today's age you can find 10 guys who are willing to sacrifice and give up that.
You always can find 5.
Yeah.
You just can't find the 7, 8, 9 guy that's going to come in and still have that attitude and do the things you want him to do. That's the tough part in society today.
It is
finding those kids who may not find all the time, but still find it very valuable to be with their friends and to do the things they're doing.
And I will say about these guys, if they were someplace else, a lot of teams in our conference, they would be starters there. I mean, we were all 12 of the guys that we dressed in that in the roster at the end of the year here. they're really good players. I mean, they can all shoot. They can all play defense. They're very heady players. I mean, they're really good. But they were able to, stick through it and didn't get many minutes as they wanted. The good thing was we were pretty good, so we got to play multiple lineups. But there's a lot of love for those kids who maybe didn't get the credit they could have going someplace else maybe.
Had to make for some pretty good practices, huh?
That's
pretty
the one,
intense.
That's the one thing. We had enough practice guys. The second five is that they called themselves. They did not mind going against the first five.
I'm sure they did.
And there were several practices at the because we would scrimmage maybe at the end to go up and down, and they got them more than once. And I always say, you guys want to get your phones out, so we put that on your Twitter page. Say like, who's better tonight? So yeah, the practices were fantastic. And when you have competition. Yeah. It makes things really,
I told Chelsky, I said, and he was a little bit in the same boat, and I said the first team should say the best team they played all year was the second team at home in the practices, and that's probably the way you guys were too.
Oh, it was a lot. That's very, very, very true. I mean, it was a lot of fun because there's a little bit of talking going on amongst some of those guys, and honestly, we still have some guys come in and help. Some assistants, volunteer assistants. One of my assistant coaches, Craig Blair, he played at Cloverdale, and he scored I think 1,600 points in high school. And he's left-handed. He can still play, and so he gets out there.
Sure.
Those guys think like he's amazing, and he really is. And so practices are a lot of fun. I mean, that's the one thing that people don't understand. I would rather practice any time than play games. Practice is where you get better. And you try to see if some of your strategy, put it in and see if it works when you go live.
I slipped in there and watched you practice a little while. We brought my 8th grade team rolled in there, and you guys were just finishing up down there. Had the scoreboard going, and they were getting after it pretty good.
We try to practice plans, everything's try to dial things in with them.
Sure.
And listen, talking about great seasons like Clay City had one. What about Coach Crooks and his 8th grade team? I mean, what episode is that going to be on? That's what
I'm going to say this, and
I'm sitting over there in this chair.
See the champs.
We need a shot of that over there, man. Let's get a shot of that.
He's got. Might as well have banners up in here ready to go with Coach Crooks.
What's crazy about that is I didn't do anything. They went undefeated 2 years before me, and all I did is just go in there and sit down.
I don't know. I just heard there was a lot of fire truck action after you won the conference tournament, so I don't know.
Speaking of fire truck action, what kind of celebrations did you guys have after sectional and regional? What was it like? What'd you do?
Well, of course, the one thing being on the road. So you come home and we go up Lone Tree, and
there you go.
The kids are on the bus, and we bring everybody with us. Our C team kids are, your freshman group, and our B team, they're with us. We let them cut part of the net, because they're part of the family, they're part of the team. It's just not, necessarily those 12 guys, and of course the cheerleaders, all the jobs that they do, and so we let everybody get a piece of the net because all the time and effort they put in. And so you go down Lone Tree, and they pick you up at 59 at New Hope Church, and I don't know, we must have had, it seemed like 8 or 9. Fire trucks, police officers, all the way. They came in from Corey. They want to be part of it. It's very fascinating. I let my wife ride with us because she has not got the experience like we did last year a little bit, and I wanted her to see it. And I can't. You think people after grueling games or something just want to maybe stop and get something to eat.
Yeah.
And no, they line up Main Street, and when I say line up from one end to the other, they're just all over the roads, and we're hanging out the windows, high-fiving people. They got their little kids on their shoulders, and it's really. I'm sure there's video out there. I'm just not one of those guys, but it's a pretty amazing thing to see and experience in that community. And then they all go to the gym, and they want to hear you talk, and you think, hey, these people after they'll get back in their car and just drive home, and we'll have half the gym full of people just staying around to greet the kids, and that was the same way. We were on spring break after the Northeast Du Bois game in the regional, and you think, well, people.
Everybody's gone,
Everybody's gone, and the same thing happened. We got back pretty late, 8:30 at night or so, and they were still on the street, same people. In the gym, I'm thinking, okay, it won't be as many this time, but it was probably more. Our pep band, who had a competition, they ended up coming in, and they were playing the school song. It It's really surreal. It's like a dream. I tell people it doesn't seem like that happens in today's world, but it sure does at Clay City, and it was fantastic and experience that you won't forget.
No, you won't forget it, and your coaches and your players and everybody associated with your team brought so much pride to that community, and right. They bought in, they buy in, they feel a part of it, and you guys made them feel a part of it, and that's the benefit of that is them greeting you when you come home, and they feel good about that.
We had fantastic crowds this year, especially after Christmas when we started winning and people were like, I think they came out to see if we could lose. And it didn't matter if it was senior night or cheer clinic night or whatever we were doing. It just like every night it was the Ill Dome was almost packed, it seemed. And we go down the sectional. One of the favorite things was we played Bloomfield. We had a really great game with them at their place, and then. We play them in the sectional, the semifinal game on Friday night. It was standing room only. It was 2 to 3 deep in White River Valley Gym for that game. People were parking, no kidding, it seemed like a half mile away from the gym to try to get into there because it was so full. So it was, it's been a really tremendous. I mean, I can't put it into words. I'm not an English major like my daughter, but it was just you can't repay those people for, their support, and we were glad to give them something to cheer about.
Yeah. Well, I think that's small school basketball. Everybody almost makes fun of Hoosiers and what it's like, but that's the way it is in small school Indiana. And not every place can say that small school Indiana. We've had a lot of consolidations, a lot of things going on, and your school is a small school that has a lot of pride within that community. That's the one. It's not like you're bringing people in from every place else. You don't have to, when you take the bus ride through or you got the fire trucks, you don't have to go anywhere else. It's one quick lap if you need to.
It is.
And that's it. And what makes that really special is everybody knows everybody. They know the struggles that people have been through and the things that happen. And, if you have a fire in somebody's house, everybody shows up to help. I mean, that kind of thing. And I've seen that in the small communities as well. And I'm a small community guy. That's every school I've been at has been small. I like that. I like that ability to teach and coach kids who have some discipline at home because they are raised by families, not necessarily just by their own mom and dad. Right. People take care of everybody in those. Maybe speak to that a little bit with your kids, because if you have 10 kids that are seniors and those 5 kids that are sitting on the bench are not only not causing problems, but they're your biggest asset. And what's that say about the community and how they raise their kids at Clay City?
The 10 seniors we have, and if I don't know how much time we have, but you start with some of those guys who don't get to play, and Gibby, his mom works at the school. He didn't, he set out I think his freshman year and decided his buddies were playing, or maybe there's some more basketball left in him, and Jacob Gibbons, a real strong kid, got in the weight room, probably the strongest kid we have. Great practice kid, very, very quiet. Good friends with some people up here because he went to Jackson Township, and just was a workhorse. Logan Stolte, we always say something's going to happen with Logan. We just don't know what's going to happen. Got the best signature on the team. He's going to be famous one day. He's going to be like Eric Shanks. Shanksy, when I played baseball with him.
Shanksy was in your class, wasn't he? Or maybe
he was a year older. I played a lot of baseball with him.
He was 89.
I'm not surprised about him. He always had a great personality. Everybody always liked him and followed him. He's like
that dude left. That whole crew, they would leave class 6th period because I had 6th period off before practice, and they would all leave class and say they needed to come talk to me. We'd sit and drink coffee. Me and a bunch of high school kids drinking coffee, and Shanksy goes on to be the man.
Be the guy. And so,
head of Fox Sports.
I'm not surprised. I tell people, I tell that story. I say he's a great. I grew up with him. He's a great kid.
Yeah.
But like Luke Laswell, they don't tell me things. I'm the least perceptive person. I don't hear anybody in the stands. I don't, unless it's something derogatory towards a player of either team. I don't hear anything. Like people say, "Did you hear that?" I'm like, I have no idea. Yeah. But Luke Laswell, they were telling me finally, he liked to stand up, because we have these huddle cameras and everything's filmed.
Yeah, sure.
He likes to give the 3 And so, like, he'll just get up and turn to the
huddle camera and
he has no idea if it goes in. So he always turns around and says, did it go in? So he wants to get it on camera. So, and he knows exactly in the game. Like, we'll be watching tape and say, he'll tell me, like, hey, you might want to go to, like, 44-18. I'm like, what? I had no idea. So late in the season, they finally broke in. And he liked to give Coach Blair a hard time, too. And, the two young guys, Dalton Hill, he's kind of funny. He lives there on 59, but he's kind of reminds me of kind of kids I grew up with. He always had a quick response about anything. I'd tell him, say, hey, I said, he liked to block shots. I'd say, what are you doing? I said, how tall do you think you are? He goes, I said, you're 5'10", you're not a shot blocker. He said, I'm 6 foot on a good day. He'd tell me stuff like that. And then you got two brothers, Dalen Keller, and he can really shoot the basketball. He's going to be a really good player. You're going to see more of him, with these guys leaving. But he could really, man, in practice, he could really fill it up. And he's kind of quiet, but does some really great stuff. And his brother Zane, he's quite, we always, Zane's that kid that plays hard, and he lost. Not that he lost his starting job, but he started for 2 years, but he had labrum surgery, so he didn't come back till December.
That's not good.
And so, he got all the way back, especially at the end of the season when he was playing so much better. And but he always could tell you a story about something. He was always telling something. He always had the gossip about everything.
Yeah.
So everybody's listening to him. So he was very fantastic. Mason Camp played JV all last year. And then this year with the injuries we had, he stepped in over the summer and he grew some, and he loves basketball. He's the kid you got to kick out of the gym. Yeah. Like, it's time to go home, I got to do laundry. Go home, and real quiet, real athletic kid. Does a really super job for us. Trey Dayhuff, kind of that quiet kid too, but he's like Stretch Armstrong. He's got arms and real heady player. I think he's going to be the coach out of it. He may coach baseball, may coach basketball when he gets older. He just knows a lot.
Sure.
But he dislocated his kneecap. And honestly, we thought he was done, and I think that was probably middle September. And one doctor told him he needed surgery, and it'd probably be 4 to 6 months. And he went to another guy, and he said, I think they could rehab it. So we rehabbed it. And I was devastated, because the one thing that's hard is like playing time and injuries. People don't understand, it's like those are your kids. And, when that happens, pretty hard. He rehabbed. We'd literally go do an inter-squad scrimmage because we didn't get our scrimmage in. And there's 41 seconds left on the clock, and he dislocates it again. And we think, he's done. He goes back and rehabs it, goes right back at it. Comes back, and we tried to get him through the season. He's a big baseball kid. Made it through the season. He really played great against, the first game of the semi-state. I felt like he got us that game. We put him in there, and he ran some minutes, and he was very calm, cool, collective. Does a great job of doing that. Michael Tucker, I say this, there'll be never another Michael Tucker at Clay City maybe. That kid plays as hard as anybody I've ever seen. He's a farm kid, naturally strong. He talks in thumbs. You ask him something, it's thumbs. It's always this too. It's never thumbs down. It's always, yep. And he'd do anything you'd ask. And he's the proverbial kid that would run through that brick wall. You got the Wyram, who's just a lefty. Made himself a really, really good player.
Sure.
Can shoot at some. But he's a really great leader out there. He did some things. As a kid, 3 years ago, I'm thinking he's kind of quiet. I'm not sure if he's got that in him. And he really, the last 2 years, I felt led us on the floor and kept us intact, even when things were going bad.
Yeah.
And then, we got Ethan Dog Edwards. We gave him that dog nickname when he was a freshman because he just goes after everything. And a lot of these guys were in the weight room. I run the weight room at Clay City through a grant that they have, and so it's open 3 days a week. But those guys would come in on Saturdays when they didn't have their driver's license, so their parents would be like, well, we'll take you to the gym. So they practice, and Ethan was in there probably more than anybody and got himself strong. He's a heck of an athlete. He was a 1,000-point scorer. We hadn't had one since the Heathens. In the 70s. And I think that I've had 4. I had 3 on the girls' side, now 1 on the boys.
Yeah. He's
going to walk out of there with like over 600 rebounds.
That's awesome.
175 blocks, 100-some assists, 150 steals. He was a, academic all-state. He's a 4.0 student. A lot of these guys are really good students. They got great parents. All that comes from their parents. They believe in, I didn't have to worry about their grades as much. They're on top of things.
Sure.
Their teachers down there. Real supportive. I mean, you come to a pep session. I don't know if other schools have those, but we bring our elementary over. We got half the gym full.
Yeah.
They go crazy. And the teachers, they've been so fantastic this year of just, they put up signs, they make decorations. It's just, it's been a lot of fun. And, it was hard last weekend for it to end, but these guys have a lot to look forward to. You know, they're going to be successful in life. So.
Sure they are, yeah, and they're going to be proud of what they've done. It'll sting a while, but as everything, that sting will go away, and they'll remember the good things.
Oh, yeah.
No question.
For sure. And, you know, I've had a lot of people reach out, so that's been fantastic too this week. So been really appreciative of those people. They're worried about me a little bit, but we'll manage.
No, it's just coaching. That's what it is. Because you know, if you're in college, I'm just telling you, you're in college. At this time, you're like, I'll see you in about a week or two. It'll be fine. Just leave me alone for a while. You don't do that. You go right back in the classroom. You're teaching your kids, you're teaching them how to get over things that aren't maybe as easy to get over as you think they are at the time. They're tough. And you're teaching them how to move on with their life and do the right things. And that's one thing you get out of high school basketball or football or tennis or whatever. When you're going to lose the last one, there's only, you know, a dozen sports that you're going to win in the last contest.
Right.
And you know, if it's football, you get to win that last game, man, you feel great. Okay, and you really feel great until you have to figure out, oh, what am I going to do now?
Yeah,
right.
You know, because that's the other one. I've been through that one too. You win and you go back, what am I going to do now? Or the crushing loss, like we talk about. And life goes on, and those are the things you learn about through high school athletics.
No doubt.
And that's what we're here to coach. That's why you're coaching. I can tell. I just feel the passion in what you're talking about, and the love you have for Clay City and for your kids. And we really appreciate that. We're going to pause. We'll be right back and finish this one up. Again, you're watching Indiana Sports Network.
Indiana Sports Network cups given to guests on Timeout with the Coach are provided by Fearless Designs.
The city of Brazil was founded in 1866. By 1876, there were 2 schools, 7 dry goods stores, 2 hardware stores, 4 churches, and 5 drugstores. One of those drugstores is still there today, Lynn's Pharmacy. Lynn's Pharmacy has grown from a small neighborhood drugstore to a modern pharmacy, offering prescriptions and medical equipment with old-fashioned values and unparalleled service. You can even step back in time and visit Lynn's Soda Parlor
here at Lynn's Pharmacy, downtown Brazil.
Your All-Pro running back Jonathan Taylor here for York Automotive. Looking for an All-Pro deal on your next car, truck, or SUV? York is my #1 pick. With over 600 vehicles in stock, York has the largest selection to meet your needs. We're talking new, pre-owned, and commercial vehicles. Take it from one All-Pro to another, York has your best deal.
Shop online at yorkautomotive.com and we'll show you why we're not #1, you are.
We're not #1.
You are!
You're #1 at York.
Right.
Stopped.
Yeah, exactly.
And welcome back, Chris Ames, our guest. We're going through a lot of things that happen at Clay City, talking about you know, what he's going through and what the school's gone through, and just the stretch of what's happening. And Tony brought up the idea again. You were ranked #1 a lot of the season in what's going on. Did your guys feel pressure, or how did you adjust or let your guys deal with some of that? Because for them, it probably is a little bit of pressure, but I don't think you probably felt that pressure, did you?
The only pressure I ever felt, honestly, and again, it goes back to the Clay City community, because I felt pressure to win for them, you know, but that was really, I didn't feel any. It was funny because when we got ranked #1, I wouldn't even have known. I'm not a big get on, you know, and look. The only thing I ever really looked for is defensive average, because I felt this team, that's how we were going to win, was through defense. And so I had people texting me, even from other schools. And then finally it got brought up at the end of practice, and if you ask the kids, they'll let you know how I feel about it. I let them know what I thought about being ranked #1, and pretty much it was not that big a deal, and we weren't going to make it a big deal. And so all it was based on, is the next game.
Right.
And I was just saying to you guys, it doesn't feel like we've won that many. You know, sometimes I had to be asked, you know, somebody asked, well, how many games is this? I really didn't know our record. And I knew what it was within a game or two.
Sure.
But you kind of lose track because you're always focused on that next game.
That's absolutely right.
So we never looked back too much, and it was never at least brought up in front of me from the kids again, and we just ignored it. And I think they played that way. The one thing, these guys, they were very consistent all year. You know, it didn't matter who we were playing. Maybe it was a lesser opponent or whatever. These guys always showed up. You know, the 2 losses were very close. You know, we lost 2 games by a total of 8.
Right, sure.
And you know, those guys battled in both those games, and we could have won either way. But the rest of the games, you know, we went to Bloomfield and won. We
Yeah.
went to Linton, who, you know, they made it almost, you know.
Well, they should have won.
Yeah, they should have won.
They should have
We
won.
won the SWAC outright. That was a big deal to us. And, you know, that was another one. You went down to Linton, you would have thought it was a home game for us.
I'm
we had
sure.
just as many of them because that was the night. That was the last SWAC game for us. And if we could beat them, we could be outright champs, which we had never done. And we got it done that night. And, man, our crowd was unbelievable. They had, you know, they had in the stands, they had signs made, you know, nothing finer than beating a Linton Minor. You know, one was like something like, only Linton likes Linton, you know, because there's those signs down there. It was just fantastic on that sense.
That's really good wins, though. Bloomfield is a really good win because you had some good teams down south, man. I'm telling you.
Southern Indiana basketball is really good.
Really good.
They play it out. Those coaches, the coaches in the SWAC are fantastic. You know, speaking of coaches, you know, Coach Schwar, he's on our staff. He's our JV guy. He coaches cross country. He coaches tracks. He's got 3 little kids. He does it all at that school. He's a science teacher. He's a really good Christian man. He leads by example. He's such a good person. I just talked about Coach Blair from Cloverdale. His wife, he married a Clay City Kaler girl, and Adrian. He's got 3 young boys. He's got a really great job for Chewy, but he comes in and, as much as possible, which is a lot. And he's there and practices, and he's kind of him and Coach Shore are our defensive guru. Coach Blair's, he could be a high school coach any place.
Sure.
He's that good.
Yeah.
Former player Ethan Rogers does our C team. He comes in, Rose Holman grad. You know, he's in some projects out there are pretty cool that he talks to me about.
Yeah.
And I'm really proud of him. And then you got Coach Oberholzer. I begged her as coming in taking the girls' job 17 years ago. She had just had Gracie, her oldest daughter. She was, you know, and Gracie's now a senior. So she's part of this group too. And, you know, I mean, I should say there's 11 seniors. And I begged her. I said, I need a female person on my staff. And she had just started an IE position. She turned me down about 100 times, but I was, you know, she's.
She does
she's been
great.
with me to 17 years. We call her Adobo now. She's officially a director of basketball operations.
There you go.
And you know, it's funny because we go down to Seymour, and you know, the gentleman there was a very super nice guy, and he's trying to tell me all these things. I said, you're
just tell the wrong guy.
You're telling the wrong person. And
our director's over here.
And the next 2 times we came in, he goes, I knew who to talk to, and she's the type of person you want in your foxhole. She's a fighter. She wants to win. She wants to do things the right way, and. If something was out of whack, she's going to take care of it for me. Behind the scenes, I don't even know. Like if somebody does something that she doesn't like, she's on top of the kids at the high school. She's always checking on them. You know, we check their grades.
That makes your job a little easier, doesn't it?
It does. Without her, I'm telling you, her and these other guys. I'm just the guy that gets to stand up during the games. Honestly, these other guys are doing all the work behind the scenes that really make the difference. Like I said, I'm just the guy that they let to be called the head coach, but there's really those guys are just as good at it as I am.
Coach, are you going to go to the state finals?
Oh, you know, it would be hard. I will say
I know it would be hard.
I will say this. You know, we lost to Orleans and Coach Bradley, and I told him this. I was you know, walking out. He was with his granddaughter and his wife, and I stopped and I said, you know this young guy here, and you know. And she goes, yeah, and his daughter was there, and maybe a couple other family members. And I know this about Coach Bradley. In Southern Indiana, he's one of the most respected coaches down there, and he's a good man. And I suppose if you're going to lose, that's you want to lose to somebody like that, not the other. But he's been at it 26 years. He does things the right way. His kids, I think, if you saw that game, they played hard just as we did. They were really a mirror image of us.
Sure, they really were.
Kind of the same type of program that you want, and their community was, right behind them, just like ours was. And even we got an email from one of their fans or even an employee. They sent an email talking about something that happened in the game. They were so impressed with our player, how they handled it.
Sure.
They could read their lips and told, hey. We're all good. Let's just keep playing basketball, So that's the type of, if I go Saturday,
Now remind me who they play.
Clinton Prairie.
Clinton Prairie. Okay.
Clinton Prairie is a legit team.
Yeah, they're pretty good.
They're really physical and athletic.
Yeah, they
they're
get up
tall.
and down the floor.
They have some, and I've seen them a couple times.
Did they have a tough go of it, or I didn't get to see?
Not necessarily.
Not necessarily.
No, but they're a really good basketball team.
They remind me a lot of Hauser, who Oregon's beat. So it's going to be a fantastic game. I mean, I'll be honest, the North was not as strong this year as the South, and sometimes it gets flipped. It just matters, when you're looking at I mean, you had 3 of the top 4 teams in our semi-state.
Sure,
You know,
yeah.
To get out of that, you had to play good basketball. And
Right.
so, and like I said, Anderson, they were, I think, 10th. But I don't know. I know they had injuries early in the year because, you know, I had tape on them. Some of those guys didn't play around December and
Yeah.
so forth. But, you know, they had, like I said, they were in the semi-state last year as well. So
Right.
some really good basketball.
Sure.
And it just fluctuates back and forth.
Oh, yeah.
But no, I get your idea of potentially not seeing them or whatever. I will tell you this, because I know you're the family man, but my wife always says, you know, what are we doing? We're not doing football this week. What are you gonna do? And that first Friday is always time away with her, and we usually go eat fish. There's a restaurant we like to go eat fish, and we go eat fish on that Friday. But everybody has to handle things, and they handle things in a different way. And from a coaching perspective, you can see it all the gamuts of different things. It's just what you feel comfortable with. Right. And for me, I feel comfortable going and doing stuff. Going to eat fish. That's what we're going to go do.
There you go.
And you know, so you're going to find something that's going to happen, and then you're going to get back on that horse come probably at least June 1st, if not earlier. Now we can get busy, you know, April the 7th.
Right.
And you know, I know that date, by the way. So for me, it's 6:45 in the morning on April the 7th. We get at it again, and coaches around, and it's a little different, John. You didn't get to go through that.
Right. That's
but
true.
That's what we do. And for me, you know, small school, we do a couple walk-through things in the mornings, and basketball team's going to come in, and his top group's going to do shooting drills on a couple mornings in a week and do those kinds of things. But, you know, it all starts up again.
Yeah.
And coaches.
Year-round, almost.
And Chris, coaches like you we don't stop anymore. We just continually go 365.
I know this for a fact on our date. We started September the 3rd.
Yeah.
I believe it was. We don't have football at Clay City. So, you know, we do take fall break off that week, but you're allowed, you know, 16 dates in the gym. You know, there's rules to it. And so we've been going since the 1st of September, and here we are. And I kind of looking at practice plans and games and so forth, just in my head, you know, the kids go to school 180 days. We have at least had basketball, and we're not even talking about going to the dairy bar and doing fundraising there, but we've gone 125 days or more.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, the school year's, we still got 9 weeks left, but it's a lot because, like you said, we'll start back in May. You know, we'll have our kids camp, and then you go all of June, and we actually do stuff in July because there's no football. And so it's a lot. But, you know, there's a lot going on, too. And, you know, got to take care of other people, too. Your family, I'm big on that. You know, my parents and my mother-in-law.
Got to make time.
So you got to make time.
Yep.
And we'd like to see our daughter some. So
Sure.
It was nice to have her come in to watch, you know, because we don't get to see her that much.
Right. Hopefully she's watching this.
Maybe.
If not, she can watch it later.
She will. Listen, she's still. She had a lot of. One of the things she told me, because, you know, they have athletic meetings, and one of the things she got to tell them, you know, they always go around and say, who's got something good to say? And she says, my dad's team's ranked #1, and they've done this, and you know, the article in the Indianapolis paper was fantastic.
Yes,
that
it
was
was.
done. He did a really good job.
Really
Did a
good
great job of, you know, kind of what really Clay City's all about, and a lot of good people down there that support each other, and you know, it was just a dream season, and it wouldn't be, you know, it was all possible through these kids and their hard work and their families behind them and the community, really.
Sure.
And, you know, like I said, we have some really great assistant coaches.
Yep,
it's all
you
good.
did. Well, Coach, congratulations.
I appreciate
What a
it.
year, man, really, what a year. I mean, people can't underestimate how good it was, really. I know it's not the way you wanted to end, but man, 26 wins in the state of Indiana, I mean, that's really, really good, because you don't play that many games. When I was Louisiana, we'd played 40 or 45. You won 20. You know, that was only
okay.
five.
That was a big year.
I was under 500. See, I mean, 26 wins and semi-state finals. Congratulations.
I appreciate that.
Okay,
Folks, thanks for joining us here with Timeout with Coach and Chris. Coach Ames, thank you so much for joining us.
It was fun.
Getting us a chance to visit with you, talk some basketball, talk some other things, and we hope we get to do this again this next year as you move for that third straight?
It's going to be a third straight sectional.
Third straight sectional. See, we're already that's the pressure.
Little pressure on him,
just a little bit for us. But again, thanks, and thanks for joining us here on Timeout with Coach. You're watching Indiana Sports Network.
Indiana Sports Network cups given to guests on Timeout with the Coach are provided by Fearless Designs.